My name is Charlie with Running with Miles, and we are a blog that is focused on travel and running and the hybrid of the both of them. And that includes not only just airlines and hotels and races and things like that, but also a way to capture all of that, and that's with photography or video gear. And really, there's almost no better way to capture content when traveling or in a race or running any type of interesting location than with a 360-degree camera. Those allow you to capture the entire sphere around you in 360-degree capture, and then you can reframe it afterwards if you want to be able to concentrate or focus on the areas that you want your viewer to see, or if you've missed some things yourselves. For example, if you're running in a marathon and you want to film throughout that and be able to go back and look later at what you might have missed or catch some of the scenes from the race of the other racers, or if you're in the trails, or if you're visiting some city like Dubai or London or something like that, and you want to capture everything that's around you with any of the scenes that were around you, things you may have missed or just want to relive. It's also really good if you want to give that to your end user on YouTube and other places to be able to view all the 360 degrees just by panning through it. So there's a lot of flexibility with a 360-degree camera, specifically an action camera. And for years, it's been Insta360 that has really owned this domain. There's been some other manufacturers, but nobody has done it like Insta360. And everybody was waiting for the competition to heat up, and heat up it has. As I'm sure you're aware, DJI has released their Osmo 360, their first step into the 360-degree capture world. In this video, we're going to look at Insta360 X5, which is their current model of the 360-degree action camera. So they've been doing this for a while now, against DJI's first step into it, the DJI Osmo 360. For the rest of this video, we'll refer to as X5 and the Osmo 360. Before we begin, while you may have already seen a lot of videos on this, DJI just started selling this in the US. When I bought it, I had to go up to Canada to get it because it was not even available in the US, which means if you saw any of the launch videos, any comparisons done with these cameras, DJI had sent them to the reviewers to use. And some of them were sponsored, some of them not. I purchased both of these cameras myself to give an unbiased, unsponsored look at both of these cameras. So neither company is sponsoring me. So in this video, we're going to look at several major categories to try to help determine for you what is the best camera for you, and why I still think that the Insta360 X5 is the better camera. And we're going to look at image quality. Obviously, the camera's not worth much of anything, no matter how many bells and whistles, if it can't capture really good images. We're going to look at image quality for photos, for time-lapse, for night use, for regular use, for stability, to give you an idea of what it's capable of. We're also going to look at usability and ergonomics. We're going to look at battery life, something also very important for carrying a 360 camera, to how long it's going to last. We're going to look at workflow and editing, because capture is only part of the whole equation. What you do with the footage afterwards is just as important, if not more so that people can actually see what you filmed. And then we're going to look at audio performance, because many people will use these cameras for an immersive experience, and without good audio, you're missing a huge part of allowing your senses to be involved in the immersive experience. And lastly, we're going to look at repairability and accessories. So let's start with image quality and talk numbers first, so you know what kind of sensors each camera is dealing with. On the Insta360 side, you have a 1/1.28 inch sensor. Sensor size matters for a couple reasons. One is especially for nighttime use. When it gets dark, having a larger sensor allows you to capture more of the information that you are receiving in, and that helps it so that you're not getting a lot of noise, which is the high pixelation in the blacks and some of the color when you're boosting it in nighttime scenarios. So the Insta360 X5 comes with a 1/1.28 inch sensor. On the DJI side, you have a square 1/1.1 inch sensor. So that is slightly larger than the X5 sensor. And DJI made did a lot of hype around the fact that they used a square sensor on this. This allowed them to capture more of the field of view than something that used a non-square sensor like the X5, because of how the sensor itself reads. Rather than capturing it with just this space here and leaving out the extra part of a typical sensor, the square sensor is being able to get it all and capture all that information. So the Osmo 360 does have a larger sensor, but sensor size isn't the whole story. How the camera itself processes the images coming in is equally important. On the X5 side, there are 3 AI chips to handle the processing to make the nighttime video, the regular video, all these videos and images, to enable them to have a really good look. On the DJI side, there is a single chip for image processing. So even though it may have a larger sensor, the multiple chips on the X5 allow for more processing power to give it a better look in the end. Let's talk resolution. They both offer 8K video capture. 8K sounds huge. You might think, I don't have an 8K monitor to watch it on, but that's not what it's about. 8K is the capture of the whole 360-degree field of view. So when you go to export it into something like a 9:16, which is something that most people will do for viewing on smartphones, tablets, things like that, and social media, you're getting a 1080p final image size. That's a typical high definition resolution. So that is what you're working with. 8K gives you the whole 360. Narrowing it down to be able to reframe it to a 9:16 is what's going to give you the 1080p. As far as frame rates, the Osmo 360 does 8K at 50 frames per second, while the X5 does it at 30 frames per second. So if you want to go for slow motion at the full resolution, this will allow you to slow it down to 24 frames per second at half speed, while the X5 can't do that since it's doing it 30 frames per second. But if you want even slower motion, you have to step down the resolution to 4K capture. And on the X5, you're going to get 120 frames per second versus the 100 frames per second on the Osmo 360. Stepping that down, this would give you a quarter speed from 120 frames per second to 30 frames per second. A quarter speed on this will take you down to 25 frames per second. So it depends upon really how much slow motion you want to use over which one would be better. When you're capturing the content, one of the things that the advanced 3 chips on the X5 is going to give you is going to give you an adaptive toning, which allows for it to give you more natural colors in how the video quality looks. It's not going to blow it out and make it look all oversaturated, but it gives it more true tone to it, while the DJI side doesn't have any of the adaptive processing. DJI has brought 10-bit color to their Osmo 360, while with Insta360 X5, you have 8-bit. If you don't know what that means, you're not going to really notice the difference as a user. But if you want to push these a little bit more, or use these in maybe a little bit more of a pro setting, the 10-bit's going to give you a greater breadth of color capture, so it allows you to edit the color afterwards in post-processing and push that more than you can with 8-bit. So if it matters, if you're looking for a device that you're going to do a lot of color correction with it, the 10-bit's going to definitely come in handier than the 8-bit. Again, if those numbers don't mean anything to you, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to see the difference. Another cool feature from the X5 is Instaframe, which allows you to capture not only the 360-degree frame, but also a flat frame that can be used instantly for sharing on social media or any other type of video sharing service. So that way, you can still have your full 360-degree image that you can reframe or do something with later. But it's also going to capture a flat video, so that way, as soon as you're done recording, no reframing needed, and you can share that. So let's look at some examples of the image quality. So right now we're walking in windy weather, recording 8K 30 on both. Adaptive tuning on the Insta360 X5, which is a new feature. We're using the remote mics for both, the DJI Mic 2 and the new in the brightest of sunshine. Now, one of the things that the X5 has that the Osmo 360 doesn't have, and this falls under the accessories, but we'll lump it in here, is they have neutral density filters. And this allows you to basically, it's like putting sunglasses on your sensors.
So there you go. This is what it looks like with an ND16. Let me take it off while on. When you take it off, that's what it looks like without it.
You can put these ND filters on, which will go up to 64 ND, which is very, very dark. You have those different levels of neutral density to dial in exactly what kind of exposure you want. That's a huge plus if you're going to do this in a vlog style or something where you want a cinematic look, which requires stepping down the shutter speed so it is capturing some motion blur with it. Now for nighttime scenes on the Insta360, you have what they call pure video, while on the DJI side, you have Super Night. Both of them are going to help boost the light for nighttime scenarios, as you can see here. So that way you're able to capture video and do it in a way that's not totally dark, which back in the earlier stages of the Insta360, nighttime use wasn't really something that you could do a great job with, especially if you're doing at faster speed of motion, because it was getting very, very noisy. Pure Video's come a long way and made a lot of improvement to give you that great low light performance. And DJI came with it out of the gate with their Super Night mode. Another thing with image quality is going to be Stabilization. If you can't get stable video, it's going to be jerky and going to make your end user feel like throwing up just watching it. And obviously these are meant for action, so that's going to include things like running, walking, jumping with bike jumps, a whole host of things where you have a lot of motion going on. And stabilization on both of these cameras has done very well. DJI has a long history of being able to provide really good rock solid stabilization on their action cameras, and they brought it over to here, so you're going to have good stabilization on both cameras. Nothing really to worry about. You could see what kind of stabilization you're getting. Now, one of the hardest ways to stabilize is going to be the up-down motion, and so running especially, you could see how both of them handle that. And again, blind test here first to show you both without telling you which is which. And then we'll go ahead and identify which camera was which. Next up is usability and ergonomics. So DJI opted to go for more of the flatter, chunkier style, whereas Insta360 has gone for the longer, thinner style. As you see here, the X5 is quite a bit thinner in the width. In the depth, the X5 is a little bit thinner. The X5 in the width is definitely thinner, but the Osmo 360 is definitely smaller in height. This is going to come down to very much a preference thing. I prefer the usability and the feel factor of the Insta360 simply because I can hold it like this. I can even hold it like this, and as you can see, my hand is largely out of, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's try to pan around here. My hand is largely out of view as I hold it down here. You'll see it a little bit, but I'm still able to get a good grip from this angle without obscuring the video itself. Also, I can step my way through this large touchscreen and I can easily select whatever features or settings I need, and I feel very secure with it the whole time. On the Osmo, it's not as good of a feel in the hand. It definitely fits nicely in a pocket, but trying to do this, it definitely feels less secure in my hand when I'm trying to do this. I did almost come close to dropping it a few times. So again, it'll come down to whatever you prefer in the handling department. I prefer the X5. I think the form factor works better. Now, one of the things to keep in mind will be things like if you go to stand it up, obviously the shorter squatter of the Osmo 360, it's going to sit better. But then when it comes to putting it on something like a selfie stick, the longer, thinner form factor of the Insta360, I think it gives it a better feel when it's fully extended. It feels like just a little bit more of extension of the selfie stick itself. When it comes to the Osmo 360, it's fairly similar, but having it be a little squatter is just part of how the weight distribution is. I feel it a little bit more than I did with the X5. Again, it's probably not going to be a huge difference to most people, and it more will come down to what you're used to. I've been using Insta360 cameras for a long time, so I'm used to that form factor. So that's probably why I feel more comfortable with it. But again, I leave that up to you. Now let's talk about battery life. Battery life is something that will kill an action camera if it's not long enough. Now, Insta360 and DJI both offer endurance modes on their battery life, which will shut off certain things like gesture, voice control, things like that, so that you cannot turn them on, or maybe HDR, active HDR, whatever the case may be. It will shut down some of those options and features so that you can concentrate fully on capturing the content for as long as possible. Both of these came in around an hour and a half, hour and 25. The DJI in endurance mode lasted a tiny bit longer than the Insta360 at 8K. The Osmo 360 has a 1950 milliampere hour battery, and the X5 has a 2400 milliampere battery. So you would expect that this one would last a little bit longer. My guess is it's due to the 3 AI processors that are in here that are processing the content as you capture it. That is making it have a slightly less battery life than the Osmo 360. You're still getting fairly similar battery life. Insta360 does offer an endurance battery, which is going to give you even more life on the X5, while currently Osmo does not. Matter of fact, we'll get at this in accessories, but DJI has made it so that the battery in this is the same battery that's in the Action 5 Pro, so they're easily swappable back and forth. So with battery life, you're looking at roughly the same battery life with either camera. I'm planning on using these for the next marathon I do. Actually, I'll use them for a 100-mile trail race I'm doing coming up, but I'm obviously not going to video the entire thing. But with a marathon, all it would take me is about two and a half batteries to be able to film the entire thing. Now, who wants to watch that? I know. But it's nice for me to be able to look back to or be able to reframe it a little bit and turn it into something that I will publish later. But that's a huge advantage to being able to just have a couple batteries and something like this that I could put in my running pack versus having maybe 40 minutes, 50 minutes as you used to be able to get from 360 cameras. Both cameras really excel in long battery life, with the DJI edging it out a little bit in the 8K resolution. Next up, we're going to talk workflow and editing. Both of them have smartphone apps that will allow you to edit, reframe, export, and do all that for each of these inside of the app. Now, Insta360 has done an incredible job with their app and has made it so that it's actually more preferred by most people over their studio app for a laptop or desktop. And you can do pretty much everything you'll need right on there. And one of the cool things with it too that companies like GoPro and DJI don't have is, as you're importing a video file, which can take a long time, you can actually go and do anything else you want. As you can see here in the screen recording, it'll keep working even though it's in the background as long as you don't close out the app. So that's huge. With other companies, you have to keep it open to have it keep moving at the same speed or at all. An interesting thing is a lot of people found this. Insta360 released an updated version of their app this summer, but the DJI app that they have for this camera, there are many ways that it mirrors and looks a lot like the Insta360 app before the refresh. I guess, you know, if they say imitation is the best form of flattery, DJI is really trying to flatter Insta360 quite a bit in how they handle their app design. But it doesn't mean that it's up to Insta360 quality. There are some glitches I found with it. Sometimes it would just shut off when importing large files. It will not capture over 12 and a half, 13 minutes of the highest video setting videos without splitting it into separate files. That might sound great if you're thinking, oh, what happens if I lose, if the file gets corrupted, at least I'll still have some of the files. Well, that would be true, except for the fact that there were several files from this that did not load. You'll see here, I tried to load and edit these comparison videos, and the DJI was blank. There's no file to be found. This happens several times, and that's a huge, huge, huge error. If you're doing something in action that you're trying to capture in 360, and you get done with it, and it's your once-in-a-lifetime shot at doing it, and the file's not there, that's a huge fail. I've never had it with the Insta360 cameras. It happened on multiple files with the DJI. I don't know what's going on here, but having it split like that has actually made it more troublesome too in the editing process, because with Insta360, I can just scrub through. If it's an hour file, I can scrub through and pretty much remember where I'm at, versus having 3, 4, 5 files of that long clip broken up. Now I have to step through each one. If I want to merge it together, if it cut in an inconvenient part, now I've got to put those two clips together. Again, not a huge deal, but I don't like that way that this works with the file structures at all. So to me, that's a big negative. Another error I found with this was that both cameras offer the ability to import the data and metrics from GPS watches. This is great for people like me that run, that want to bore you with our metrics. Well, it's actually kind of boring sometimes to watch just a running video because it's not moving that fast, not a whole lot of things may be happening. But if I'm running through a place like Manhattan, which I've done a few times, and I'm trying to capture all that, having a data overlay of showing you my speed, distance done, even heart rate, ascent, all these different things, that's a really cool thing to have on there for the people like me that are runners that want to be able to understand, oh wow, look at the pace or look how far or things like that. This works with Garmin, Coros, Polar, Strava, Apple, many of the different devices and services. However, no matter how many times I tried, it would not import my data from Garmin into the DJI. That's, again, a huge fail. It's something they can easily fix with software updates, but why is this not working at launch? It's been over a month now. It's a key feature that they're advertising up against the X5, and they don't deliver on it. To me, that's a big problem. On the Insta360 side for editing, they have worked really hard on their smartphone app too to allow AI edits. And that way you can just let it go and it will create some video based on all the different clips you've captured, and its AI engine will search through and find the situations of interest and clip those all together with some music based on the type of style that you want the video to have. And here's you see is an example of that from a few of the clips I shot. And this was all done with the AI edit. For people that don't want to have to get into the whole system and edit a ton of things, but they still want to be able to have something put out that does all that reframing, this is a huge thing from Insta360 and something that is definitely a plus on their side. DJI is not there and as polished as an Insta360 and doesn't have those AI edits. Another thing is that there's a cloud storage service that's available directly from the device. So if you're connected to Wi-Fi and you plug this into charge, it will start uploading to the cloud, which is a paid service, all the content you've captured since the last time you've updated. Great little thing to have if you want to be able to edit directly from the cloud. Though with either one, you can plug them into a computer and download them directly to the computer, or you can transfer them wirelessly to your phone, or you have micro SD cards in both of these that you can pull out and plop into a computer. And as long as we're talking storage, let me highlight something that the DJI has that I really love, and that is built-in storage. There's a little over 100 gigs of storage available on the DJI, and that's something that they've been doing on their drones as well. I love it because you don't know how many times I've forgotten to take a micro SD card out from my editing card, and I go up and throw the drone up in the air, and oops, it's up there. I'm go to capture something, no card present. Same thing with their Action 5 Pro. There are times that it happens, or maybe you filled up the card and you don't really want to delete anything right now. Well, the built-in storage is a huge help in having a backup plan for that. X5 does not have it. Both will take micro SD cards, and you can flip between built-in storage or the micro SD on the DJI. Now let's talk audio performance. Obviously, if you want to be able to capture immersive quality, audio is important. So you can see an example here. Now, both cameras also offer microphones at additional costs that will sync up wirelessly with the different units. Insta360 just recently put out their GPS remote and microphone. This is a really cool device that will allow you to preview what's on the Insta360 and be able to control it right from here. And it comes with various clips and mounting functions with even a watch type setup, or the clip that you can put on to clothing or whatever. And this is a really cool device to be able to use for remote controlling, but also audio capture. It offers 32-bit recording, which means if you are recording it and you don't know what it's sounding like and you end up clipping where it's like hits the top too much, you can easily and simply edit that so that you can recover those clip files, and that's a huge thing. So this is their premium version of a microphone that gives you both GPS and remote and audio. In addition, they also have something called the Mic Air, which is a very small, like dime-shaped microphone that will just clip on, and you have a magnetic back that you can put behind your shirt, and it clips on, and they have different mounting functions for that also. On the DJI side, you have their new DJI Mic 3. So the Osmo 360 will work with the original Mic 2 or the Mic 3. I had the Mic 3 and really do love them. I'm using it right now to record this video. They're a lot smaller than the Mic 2, and they also have 32-bit audio capture, so that way you can also fix any clipping that happens. And they have different mounting points as well, whether it's a clip like this or another magnet that you can put, as you see, I have it behind my shirt. So this is great for a variety of recording uses. It will record directly on here or to the camera like the Insta360 will as well. So both manufacturers have microphones for use inside and outside. Overheating is something that if you're holding, in which rarely are you going to hold a 360 camera. You can't really capture everything around you if you're holding the camera, but overheating is a problem if it's going to make the camera shut down. I recorded in a 69-degree temperature, low humidity room, and the Osmo 360 actually did shut down a couple times. And that's a big problem. I'm not sure. It was very, very hot to the touch. This was warm, but not the same type of heat as this. So the Osmo 360, it could very well be the form factor, since it's more of a squat and it doesn't have it stretched out and give as much of a surface area on the side to really dissipate the heat more from the internals like the X5 does. The Osmo 360 definitely has a bigger heat problem, though not constant, than the X5 does. Another problem with the Osmo 360, many users found it, but it's a fogging issue. And that's where, with temperature, humidity changes, or going underwater, you will see a fogging happen within the lens itself. And that's a big, big problem, because again, it's going to obstruct what you're viewing on the screen. And this is an action camera. You're going to be in all kinds of weather situations, and you're going from cold to hot and back again. It should not happen. And with those that commented on it and talked to DJI's solution was open the battery door. That is like a stupid solution. Who is going to be out doing something with this on a selfie stick and going with the battery door open, even for a little while, just to dissipate any type of humidity? That is not a solution. That's a, oops, we didn't know that was happening. We'll try to look into that. So definitely be aware of that. It doesn't hit all the cameras, but there are a lot of reviewers and users that have noticed this problem. Something I'm sure that they'll fix eventually, but for now it is an issue. Speaking of underwater, here's some video of both of these cameras underwater. They both handled very well. No problems with that. But if you're going to go deeper than a pool, know that you'll get 10 meters of depth on the Osmo 360 and 15 meters of depth on the X5. If you want to go deeper, a dive case is something that you're going to need to use for that. While both of these cameras are waterproof, I get nervous taking cameras in the water. I've had a 360 camera before in the past. First time using it underwater and it died. So obviously, you got to make sure your ports are really secured shut. A dive case would help with that in case you're nervous about that like me, but they both do work well underwater. And lastly, let's talk about repairability and accessories. With the 360 camera, you notice you have the lenses protrude a little bit. That's necessary to be able to capture that full 360-degree view. The problem is, since they stick out from the body, they're very prone to being scratched or hit. Several times running on trails, I've tripped or fallen down and bumped into them. I've scratched lenses in the past. It's a big problem. I had a Garmin, I think it was a Verb 360, and that one, if you scratch those lenses, the camera is toast. That's an $800 camera that is gone now because you've scratched the lenses. And I don't think they even sell it anymore. But with Insta360, they came out with the X5 and made it that it's user replaceable lenses. You can buy a kit for $29 per lens, and it comes with everything you need to be able to remove this lens and put a new lens on. Don't have to send it in. Super easy to fix if you do scratch it. And I say if because these lenses are more durable than anything Insta360's put out before. I've already dropped it, not from a high height, but onto the dirt, and there were no problems at all. I've been in situations where I thought for sure I'm scratching it, and there's no scratch. In fact, you can look on YouTube and watch people using saws and hammers and things like that trying to scratch and break it, and it takes a lot to do that. So they've done an excellent job in making these durable, but should you scratch it, you can replace it on your own for less than $30 per lens. One of the reasons why I say the Insta360 X5 is my go-to 360 camera and what I'm going to be grabbing going forward, even though DJI has come out with one. On the DJI side, people have already scratched it just by rubbing it against a branch or walking under something or rubbing it, accidentally bumping into wood. And to get it fixed, it's not a huge cost, but you do have to send it back into DJI to get that done. A hassle to have to deal with sending something in. And really, DJI knew before they shipped these out that Insta360 had these user replaceable lenses. GoPro's set to come out with their new 360 camera soon, and it has replaceable lenses. So DJI is definitely in the back of the pack now with this. I've read some of the comments from different users saying, oh, well, I've never scratched mine. I don't see how you would ever be able to do that. Those are people that are probably not doing anything with adventure. If you do something with adventure, it's going to be a matter of time before you will scratch or dent or break or whatever a lens. Having the ability to swap it on your own makes this an instant buy over this in my book. Then we get to the accessories part. Since Insta360 has been doing this a while, there is a whole host of accessories. As you can see on this page, this is just what's available for the X5. This makes it easy, so easy to go across a multitude of different activities, whether it's skiing, running, swimming, motorcycling, whatever the case might be, and you have accessories they make specifically for you for that. One of the chief accessories that I absolutely loved using, especially as a runner, is this new 2-in-1. It's 2-in-1 because it comes with a Bluetooth remote, which I generally do not use because I have the microphone now, but it is so small, fits right in the handle, and it will start up the camera and start recording it. Now look at this here. Here is the selfie stick, which does extend and extends that far. So I can still use it and capture 360 if I'm running or doing something in an interesting place, and that's not all. When I'm done with it, all it takes is a push of a button, and now I can have it compactly ready to put them in my pocket, put in my run pack, and I'm good to go. As opposed to something like this, which is a little bit obviously longer to have to deal with. And if I want to keep the camera on it, that's a little bit something else to deal with. This is just one of the many accessories available from Insta360 because of how long they've been working with 360 cameras. So Insta360 has a host of different accessories that you will find very, very helpful for any type of filming you're doing. I love this new fast charge kit. In the back, you have slots for micro SD cards that you can protect. It has a built-in USB cable. You easily can just plug this in and charge up 2 batteries. So you're always ready with those. This goes into any of my run packs. There's a host of accessories that Insta360 has. So if you're looking to get into their ecosystem of all that's available, again, Insta360 has the strongest suite of those accessories. Now, DJI, they did a very smart thing in making their mounting system match their action camera line. So with the magnetic base and clips, you can just clip on these so you can have any type of mounting solution that they have for their Action Pro line, you could just use with this. They're interchangeable. And as I said before, they are using the same exact battery as well. So if you're already in the DJI system, your accessories are going to be able to go back and forth between the two. And that's it. That's your look at the Insta360 X5 versus the DJI Osmo 360. Both of them are fine action cameras, fine 360 cameras, and there's a host of things that will appeal to any user of either camera. But which one do you pick? As you can see, there's a lot of different footage here that you can watch to try to figure out what camera works best for you. There's a lot of different things that these cameras offer in a very small, compact package that allows you to capture literally everything around you. But there is a reason, as I said, that I am sticking with the Insta360 X5. Number one, the repairability of the lenses. Huge for me. That's an automatic. Another thing is how well it's integrated with GPS watches, that it actually works, something that does not happen. Will they fix it? Sure, but right now it does not work on the DJI. Another thing is the fact of how dependable it is. I've never lost video files on Insta360. I've lost, my guess, I'd have to go through to get the exact number, but 10 to 13% of my video files are gone on the DJI. Another thing is the overheating and fogging. I need a camera, especially an action camera, to be dependable so that I can whip it out in any environment and it's going to work. Insta360 has proven that again and again. The DJI has not. At the end of the day, the reason I would choose them over DJI, the primary reason that covers everything, is because they've been doing this for a long time. They have it very well down. Each iteration of the X series of cameras has done better with better sensors, better processors, better capturing, better repairability, usability, all of these things, so that we have now the X5 and it does a fantastic job. DJI, it's their first one. It's good. It's very good. But I have too many issues with it being a first generation model. Maybe the second would be better. I mean, they did a lot for a first generation model that even made it be in the same talk with an X5, something that's been a multi-generational iteration of the camera. But for now, X5 is what I'm sticking with. I love this thing, but whichever one you pick up, I'm sure you'll be happy with. The X5 has been fantastic for me. I look forward to using it a lot more in my adventures, and you can follow all those coming up on the channel. Go ahead and click subscribe, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.